back to Movie Talks and Chill. We're your hosts. I'm Tony Serrano.
And I'm Kevin Bush.
I'm Patrick Wall. Sorry, headphone users.
Well, and there goes our NPR shot.
Yep. I am deaf.
Sorry to peak the mic on the podcast.
We have a limiter on this thing. It's fine.
But not their ears.
Slow jam.
It's a slow jam.
Slow jam.
As we talk about a very violent movie.
103.1, the Panda.
So in the world, you have good people and you have bad people.
Mm-hmm.
You have people that do good things, people that do bad things. People that do good things are called
Baby faces.
Saints.
saints. There you go.
Okay.
People that do bad
This isn't
things.
wrestling.
Baby
Babyface.
Baby
That's
face?
what
Is this a test?
Hip hop of anonymous?
they go together like lamb and tuna fish.
You prefer spaghetti and meatballs?
It's not my fault your father was sick.
How about I give you a kruger? Anyway, so the bad people are called
Sinners.
That's right. And that's what we're going to
The flame. The flame.
It burns. John Leguizamo did a bit about that. His dad threw, here's a little old spice in your face.
Oh.
That's right, it burns because you're wicked.
I will, before we get into the topic, I saw this reel of, it was a father, and he's like, dressed up in full fatherly robes, and he's, I guess it's like, a Catholic school, so he's out in the yard with the kids, and he's running a route against one of the kids, and he like full on jukes him out and like stops him at his feet, and then runs past him, and they throw like a touchdown. And the caption was, "Man, this guy's playing for the wrong Saints."
But what we watched today, we came up with that movie, Sinners. Newer movie. This one we will have to say spoiler alert because this one has not been out that long. I think it came out in April or the end of April, beginning of May.
It just
And
hit
it hit
HBO Max
streaming-
this morning.
Yeah, it hit streaming. No, I think it was the 4th.
Was it? Okay.
It was July 4th was when it hit streaming.
But I remember it was out in AMC like the weekend of the film festival. Because I remember Doug was saying he was probably just going to, after the Sunday after he was done, I was like, I may kick off early and just go sit in the theater and watch Sinners. So yeah, I hadn't been around that much. We're only at the beginning of July.
Yeah.
So really 2 months now. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it.
Massive spoilers.
Yes. But I thought it was very good.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yes.
Michael B. Jordan just rocked the house.
And dual roles.
Yeah.
Twin brothers.
And it was distinctive characters. Like you could tell which one was. Their names are Stack and Smoke.
Yeah, it reminded me of the twins that Tom Hardy played too. From the was that in Britain? The British mafia.
Which one?
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, but
I want to say that was in Britain. Oh man,
what was the name of it though? That's what I'm trying to think of.
Insert Guy Ritchie title.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, if it's a Guy Ritchie movie, then yes, it's British.
But no, I thought Michael B. Jordan was fantastic in this movie. And you see a lot of these movies where the same actor will play dual roles, and it's kind of like they're samey. Like you're not really putting a whole lot of difference. But these two characters were wildly different, and they were great.
You didn't really when they first enter, you didn't really get that get that aspect of how different they were because as you first introduce them, they're in a business deal.
Yeah,
And so they're
buying the old
saying,
sawmill.
yeah. They're I won't say monotone, but they're finishing each other's sentences and carrying the same conversation.
I'm sure it was a little bit of CGI work, but I loved how the fact that they were passing the cigarette back to each other and it's the same person.
Yeah.
All right, stop camera. All right, now do this. All right, now walk over here. Now
Yep.
grab it.
And
There you go.
now pick it
Go
up.
change your suit and then grab it.
I mean, it's a lot smoother now. Like if you look back at Eddie Murphy movies, like The Nutty Professor, you can see him and Grandma. It's like they're just. It's a perfect angle where it's like, oh yeah, they look like they're kissing, but they're not.
Yeah.
You could see a split in between there where
In
they
my mind,
spliced it.
I just remember The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan, and I was like, my God, that was... Do better. I know she's a child, but do better. Come on.
Do better, man.
Do better.
Well, the way
Her career turned out fine. So.
yeah. Well, the way I was telling them, I'd seen it first, and I told them, hey, check it out. And then they did. But how I described it to them was, it's like Dusk Till Dawn meets Thriller.
So I
Yeah.
get the Dusk Till Dawn. I truly felt that toward, like once everything kicked off.
Yeah.
But when you say thriller, do you mean like the music video?
No, like
okay.
but
the
so when
music is
they're
when they're outside, and
Yeah,
they're
when
doing
they're
the Irish song
dancing.
and all,
Oh,
all
yeah.
the,
when
all
they're
the vampires
dancing
are
around
dancing
around the building and everything, it's almost like it's kind of like a chant that they're doing also,
yeah.
but
And because most of the movie was music,
Yeah.
Yeah.
a good portion of them. I wouldn't say most. Let me say a good portion of
Yeah,
them.
there was
Well-
a lot of music. There was one scene, and we can get into it a little bit later, where it seems like it's just going to be pure noise. Like all of these instruments playing at the same time can't sound good, and they actually made it work.
Yeah.
well, yeah, because they you know how like if you've got a lot going on, you could even talk about like a restaurant, like you hear conversations going on, but you can train yourself to kind of like focus on a certain.
And whenever
aspect
you
of
were
it.
following a character and they were going towards these like different musical acts,
Yeah.
they would hype that up and lower everything else.
Exactly. Yeah. It would be like a transition of like, that would start getting lower, and and then that who you were refocusing on would get louder. Yeah.
So that's why I felt that way. And I also felt the Dusk Till Dawn aspect because
Oh,
for
why-
the first hour of the movie, you had no idea it was about vampires.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
I saw the trailer for this movie, I was like, oh, that's two gangsters that went to Chicago and are back in Mississippi.
Yeah.
To do gangster shit. And I was like, that seems cool.
Yeah.
And then I was talking with someone at courtside, and they're like, no, it's a monster movie. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, it's a monster movie.
Yeah, you didn't get that until
Like
probably
halfway
45 minutes in.
Yeah.
Like when the first part of that happens, and the opening of it is weird when you're because it technically opens at the end
Yeah.
when he busts into the church and he's holding like I thought he was holding the full guitar,
I did too.
but then you go back and you see he's just holding the damn neck.
Yeah. And he's got like scars on his face.
Yeah.
And so the character we're talking about, his name is Preacher Boy, and his father is
Sammy, technically.
It's
Yeah,
Sammy,
they call him
but
Preacher
They
Boy.
call him Preacher because his father is a preacher, and he goes into the church where he's giving service. He's like, "Drop your sins, drop that guitar, Sammy. Do it for the Lord." I'm like, "What the hell?" And then you start learning like he's just like music, devil, get out.
Yep.
Well, it wasn't really music was devil because music.
When he
is
was
a big,
forsaking the church for music.
It was because he was playing at a bar.
Oh, yeah.
And that was and that was where because if you play it in church, you don't make any money.
Yeah.
But if you go to the bar, they're going to pay you.
Yep.
Or they call it a juke.
Juke.
But yeah, like so if you go to and that was a decent traveling living at for people during that time. Did it say what year it was?
1932.
Couldn't have been. Because
Sounds about right.
he pulls out a BAR at the very end. That wasn't available until World War II.
I'm just telling you what they said, what the time frame said to me.
Let's
can
go
look it
ahead
up.
and assume that the things that they were trying to get historically accurate weren't the firearms.
Yeah, there
Well,
you
I mean,
go.
he pulled out like because he said he was a soldier, so he pulled
they
out
were in
his.
World War One.
Yeah, they were fighting in the trenches. I remember that line.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, while you're looking it up, I'll give the quick gist of it, and that's two twin brothers, Smoke and Stack, ex World War One veterans, lived in Chicago for a while. They lived in Mississippi, in this town of Mississippi. They grew up there, went out to war. When they got out, they
Went to Chicago.
Went to Chicago. They worked with gangsters out there. The money they had was stolen. From
Yeah,
the
because they
gangsters.
stole from the Irish and the Italian
Yeah.
mobs up there.
And then
That's how they
left.
had cold Irish beer and Italian wine.
Yep.
And
And
it's like, when they find out, you're gonna be dead. I'm like, they ain't gonna find out.
yep.
I put money that the Irish and the Italian mob in the 30s will find you.
They'll find you eventually. It's a lot easier to find somebody now
Yeah.
than then, but hey,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, so anyway, after they stole from the mob and stole this stuff, they decided to come back to Mississippi because they're going to buy this old
Sawmill.
sawmill, and make a juke out of it, which is basically a bar / casino. It's a place just to go and have all sorts of fun. They serve food. They're going to
For
gamble.
predominantly the black folk at the time.
Yes.
Black people.
And it was Jim Crow era Mississippi, 1932.
Yes.
And so they come back and they meet up with their cousin, Sammy, Preacher Boy,
Preacher boy.
who they take him out for the day, and they're just kind of taking him under their wings. They're close. I think it was their fathers were brothers, if I remember correctly. So they're taking Sammy out. He's going to help out for the juke for the night.
Well, at this point, they split up. So Stack takes Sammy to go recruit Cornbread and the harmonica player, whose name escapes me at the moment.
Yes.
But Cornbread was the bouncer.
Slim.
So Slim was the harmonica player.
Yeah. And piano player.
And
Yeah.
piano player.
He's just a traveling blues man.
Yeah.
And I really liked his character too. Is like because because he's like that old salty guy or old salty musician when they goes, man, he don't know nothing about no damn blues.
Yeah, he's like
Seeing the
20-something.
kid,
Yeah, he's like 20
he ain't even
something.
wet behind the ears.
I
and
got
shit.
socks older than him.
Yeah, right. I got socks older than you.
But then, what was it? It's Smoke goes into town to get everything ready to set up for the opening night.
Yeah, he
And
wants to get people to get the food.
Yeah, so he goes
Finds
see the general store owner. Like apparently they were friends.
Yep.
And he pays some girl who's like, you lay on this horn if someone starts messing with the truck. And then she starts laying on it, and he's like, mother. And he goes outside and shoots one in the leg. No, in the ass.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh shit, I didn't know you were in town. I didn't know this is your stuff.
Yeah,
and the little
she-
girl's like,
I
I
told-
told you.
I didn't believe her. You
Yeah.
guys were supposed to be up in Chicago.
And then
then-
he shoots the other guy.
Yeah, he shoots the other guy. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you ain't gonna die. You'll be fine. What if I get sepsis or some shit? Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And then he goes back into the general
And
store.
then-
He's like, I shot a couple of.
And yeah, he's like, while like he's in there, he's like, y'all ain't bleeding to death. Get on out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like, get out the road. People shopping.
And then he also went to see his ex-wife, who was into hoodoo.
legally distinct from voodoo.
Yep.
I don't,
Yeah. And so he goes there because they had a daughter who didn't live.
Yeah, she passed
baby-
away like infancy. Like,
Yeah.
Probably SIDS or something like that.
Yeah, so
they really don't go into that.
No,
Yeah,
no, they
yeah.
just it's barely broached upon. They really hit on it at the
At the
end
end.
when he's dying. But basically, because she's going to do the cooking and stuff, he wants her to come out there, and so they have this big recruitment thing. Sammy shows.
Real quick, move back just a little bit. Like a really cool early scene on is when they go get the truck with all the supplies. They pull away the palm frond
with
and they
the
see the
snake?
rattler snake.
Oh yeah,
And then like when Smoke is like, calm down now. And then Stack just like throws his knife into
Yeah.
the air. Smoke gets it and jabs it in the face. Like as it's lunging towards Preacher Boy. I thought that was pretty badass.
and to that point, I thought there was going to be more with that snake because they kept.
I thought that was going to
Yeah,
be
they
like a
kept
meta-
cutting to it.
cutting to the snake.
And
I'm
I think
like,
it was just more like dramatic because at that point you just see it kind of drowning in its own blood.
Yeah.
I think that was just more of the foreshadowing they were trying to create.
yeah, but I was just like, there's going to be something. This dude's going to step on it. It's going to pop back up. There's going to be
Yeah.
another snake again.
Right,
Some, but I'm
right.
like, they focusing too much on the snake, and I don't like snakes.
And I was when they tell him to back, he's like, "Won't you let us handle this truck?" Like I thought they like put it there, like as a security part, but like it scared them too. It looked like from that
Yeah.
from that scene, like they all went back.
Yeah, I would be more than jumping.
No,
I'd be
You'd
running.
be
I'd be like,
running
nope,
and-
nope. This is your truck now, Mr.
Yep.
Snake. I'll see
You're
y'all
running
later.
and urinating at the same time.
At that point, before I got in the truck, I would be checking everything in the truck. I'm like, where there's one rattler, there's probably multiple. Because that's a high truck. That
Yeah.
snake had to get in
Exactly.
there. So I'm waiting to see is there one
Like,
in the
what that
seat?
thing chase to get in there? Because that was
Yeah.
supposed to be all booze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they had any food back
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, because he had to go into town to buy the 100 pounds worth of catfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All they had was the liquor
The
they
liquor,
stole.
yeah.
Yeah.
Irish beer and Italian wine.
Oh, that's what. That was a cool conversation that Stack was having with Slim. Was he was trying to recruit him, to come play it there at their joint. He's like, "What?" He's like, "I'll pay you $20." Yeah, for the night. And he talks about the joint that he goes to. Is I've been going there for 10 years. I get paid $10 a night, and then every night I get as much corn liquor as I can drink for the last 10 damn years. So what's your place gonna do? Have one night and that's it? I ain't wasting for that.
Yep.
And then he kind of explains to him what they're trying to establish, and then he gives him that Irish.
Well,
beer.
he opens it first in front of him. He's like, what is that? He's like, oh, this?
Oh, yeah. He's like,
Old
oh,
Irish
this?
beer. And he's like, you can have as much of this as you want. And he's like, takes a sip.
It looked like Killian's.
Yeah. Well, think about it back then. Like they didn't have a whole lot, and they were just coming off of Prohibition too.
Yeah.
Like so, the moonshine and stuff was probably still around, but that's kind of how they put them out of business real quick. Is all right. Well, y'all, the government's gonna re-regulate this shit. We're getting our money back.
And so basically they go on and, they get, after they recruit everybody, they start with their shindig at their juke.
Yep.
It cuts to a scene real quick that this is where the movie starts turning and you learn what it's
Yeah.
really more about.
And an Irish white guy just smoking,
Yes.
starts running
Yeah.
up to a house. Well, he's in sunlight. That's why.
Yeah, I know. That was.
Fun fact: he's the first vampire.
Yeah,
Well, he's the only one.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
that's there
only
Yeah.
one there.
because
Remick is his name.
he's like the elder.
Yeah, he's the guy who can turn his hand into a claw.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes in and he basically is running to this house. He's basically running away from these Indian vampire hunters.
Native
And
Americans.
that's what I wish they'd have went a little deeper in it. Like you get a glimpse of that, and that's it.
You mean the Indian
Yeah.
vampire hunters?
Yeah,
It
'cause
would have been
they're-
nice if they showed up.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: they don't.
Or
Yeah.
the morning after they show up at the juke.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe give them we've been hunting this evil for a long time, but it makes sense how easy it was for the guy to get in, because he was a white guy. He showed up to white people, a white couple's house, and he could see in the corner the Klan uniform.
Yeah.
Like that, they made a point to look over at that, and he saw it. So he played up on, I've got these engines chasing me. They're like, we don't have any engines in this territory. They have been here for years, and it's true. Because I don't know of any like direct reservations that are in Mississippi.
I fly over Mississippi. I've never been to Mississippi.
Well, I think it was also the tribe of whichever Indians it was too, or Native Americans, pardon. But it was like, so when they show up, he's trying to reason with the lady, and she doesn't want to hear any of it because of the in the time frame, the stigma of either whites again. They didn't hate like anybody,
Yeah.
Chinese, Indians, nothing. And so that's how he was it was so easy for him to get in that house. And he tried to tell her, he's like, ma'am, the person that's in your house is not what he seems. And then the sun starts going down. He's, God bless you, man.
Yeah.
And
Well, the one guy says like, we got to get out of here. He's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Well, I love like she goes like, Bert, they're gone, and then like he's like bleeding
yeah.
in the corner, and he's like, don't scream, it's fine. And then like he comes awake, he's like, hey babe, and then he eats her.
Yep.
And the next time you see him is outside the juke, but all the blood is gone, like even off their clothes and everything. It was like,
Well, they could have changed then.
Yeah, that's
Because if you notice, well, they're all at the juke, and like as the movie goes on, everyone that gets bit, like they're just fine with being covered in blood at that point. But they had to keep up appearances so that they could be invited in.
Yeah. So I loved how they kept all like the major vampire tropes, like garlic, holy water, stakes through the heart, and they have to be invited in. Like they can't do anything unless they're invited in.
Yeah.
That's like a major plot point in this movie. But the twist that I did love about this is, so vampires, and normally when you're bitten, it takes a few days for you to come back as an undead vampire. This was happening within like minutes. It was like almost like a zombie infection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's how similar it was to Dust Till Dawn.
Yeah.
I mean, they did Dust Till Dawn a little on some of them. Some of the people laid dead for a little while, like maybe under an hour, but then some people turned pretty quickly.
I was going to say, I think it was
different.
faster if you had been killed while you were biting or being bit.
Yeah.
Whereas if you got bit and you lived, that transition was slower.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, if your heart, like they killed you, ripped your throat out, you came back much quicker than someone just bit your arm.
Well, you're hungry. You gotta eat, people.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's actually a line in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, oh, don't mind cornbread. He's just hungry.
I'm so hungry. Yeah, that's right. God.
Well, the thing was, so they're having this thing. Obviously, vampires show up. They try to get in, and then if you've seen Dust Till Dawn, you know the rest of the point of the movie. Basically, they fight and they ensue.
But the thing that was weird is like the other, so the couple comes with the one guy, the Irish guy, and they sing a song, and it's like they're all in unison. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, this sounds like an Irish song. Like, how the hell do they know this? Because they didn't sound. They
explain that later. In the movie.
I know, that's what I was saying. Like that was. I like how they went. They set that up first to be able to explain that.
Yeah.
What's really cool is when Mary, the love interest of Stack, goes to talk to him, like, hey, you need money, they can bring some in and they've got money. Let me go talk to him. And then she gets like really creeped out. She's like, I'm just going to walk away, and pulls out a gun. And she starts walking back to the juke, and if you look closely in the behind, you just see that Irish guy straight up into the air. It's like, oh no, she dead.
Yeah. Well, they also didn't turn them into, where they could look different.
Yeah.
They basically stay the same. They're just eyes turned red.
And their teeth too.
Their teeth.
They had the sharp, but it wasn't just like one. Like all of them kind of turned.
Yeah. But in
have you ever seen Supernatural?
Yeah.
They have that kind of vampire mouth.
Yeah. Or like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like they had two looks. They had their human look and then their vampire face. Or like going back Dusk Till Dawn, everybody looked different. Like they all had a different demon look to them. Whereas everybody here, minus the teeth and the red eyes.
Yeah, the Irish guy was the only one that changed physically in any way.
Yeah. Remick. And what I read about later too was because I was trying to figure it out because at first when he first starts playing, when Sammy's playing in the car, I think that's around the time when they first cut to that scene with Remick or a little bit after that. Like he just shows up. So you're wondering why he just showed up all of a sudden. And then when they're playing in the juke and Sammy's playing up there with everybody and all the spirits from the past and the future showing up.
Real quick, I love this scene. It's probably one of my favorites. So the lore in the movie is there's some people that are so talented in music they can bring out musicians from the past and from the future. So you've got these like African natives doing their tribal dance and using
with
their
drums.
kind of instruments.
Yeah.
Yep. And then it cuts to like an 80s rock guitarist with like a high top and big glasses just doing a kick-ass solo. I was like, and then like, okay, this is what I was saying. Like, this is just going to sound like
it
pure
was trying
noise.
to show up Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. But I was like, this is just going to be noise. Like, I can't. Yeah. And then they actually, like, a DJ comes in and starts spinning records.
That was cool, too.
Yeah,
I like that, too.
And then it kind of remixes everything together. I was like, all right.
But they weren't bringing back, it wasn't that they were bringing back musicians. It was that certain people have music to bring back spirits.
Yeah, but they were all just musicians.
But not, Remick, he could sing and play, but that's, I was reading about it, that's what drew him there. Was hearing the music.
Yep.
Yeah, he says that, and he's like, I just want Sammy. Just give him to me.
Well, because he wants him to bring back all his other people and create this world of nothing but pure vampires. It was there's a lot going on in it near the end. It was a slow-paced movie for the first hour. It was good, but it's slow-paced, and then everything picks up. The one part that really did annoy me, I mean, I understood that the woman, Smoke's ex-wife, the Hoodoo woman, she's the one who figures out that they're actually vampires, so figures out how to stop them and stuff like that. I get that there was lore back then. I could see someone in that spiritual belief structure can know this stuff. The one part that annoyed me, though, was after they're fighting for a while, and they knew they had to be invited in, and they're making those threats, is that Asian woman. They just freak out and be like, come on in and get us. And I'd be like, if I was standing there, I'd be like...
when they're outside singing, in her head, she hears her husband's voice louder and louder. It kind of drives her insane, and she really wants to protect her little girl.
It was the Britney Spears effect.
So that's why she basically just grabs the stakes and come get us, come in, motherfuckers, I dare you.
And I mean, at the same point, like
the only thing that
you couldn't one at a time that anymore.
Yeah.
Like the one they've really messed up on is when they had that one guy in the back, and I think he was passed out in a pool of blood or something.
Yeah, they thought like someone had like bit him, and
but that was the guy that they were beating up on because he cut the other dude's face.
Yeah.
Like he just woke back up in there.
The one thing that annoyed me about this, the Asian wife, can't remember. I think her name is Grace. That annoyed me about that is she's the one who invites them in. As far as I understood, it had to be Smoke or Stack because they owned the building. I didn't think anyone could just invite them in.
No, I think they could because that's what if Cornbread was able to invite Mary.
Exactly, yeah.
Because Mary was standing out, she was just like,
she's like, you gonna let me in?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So it was just anybody that was in the house. But yes, in original vampire lore, it had to be the owner, proprietor of the property.
Well, I mean, I would say I could understand that for a house, but like a business, like how you.
Yeah.
Half the time, people that own that business aren't there.
Yeah, that's true. When's the owner of Courtside ever there?
But like, if we spent all this time keeping vampires out, and then all of a sudden you jump in and you're like, "Come on in," I'd be like, "No, you guys have him. You go back out.
Yeah, you take this one.
I rescind invite. Rescind invite." His invite does not reflect the invites of
the ownership of this sawmill.
I do like when Cornbread goes off and Slim is watching the door. And Smoke comes over and goes, "Where the hell Cornbread?" He says, "I don't know. Probably out there building your outhouse as long as he's gone.
I do like when he comes
Been
back
taking
up.
a shit for a while."
Well, he comes back. He's like, "I thought you just had to piss. You've been pissing for 20 minutes." Well, it turns out I had to shit too.
Yeah.
You gonna let me in? And then they start figuring out that
They're like, wait a minute. You've been
just
coming in out here all night. Why you need to get let in now?
And he's like, wants to get paid. Now, if I was him, when he's sitting there doing this, and he's waiting for his
I was
money,
just
I thought, what's the
tossing-
name? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I was going
I
to say.
thought he
I
was
would have
just gonna throw it, yeah.
I would have done that. I mean,
Yeah.
be like, here's your money. But no, he hands to him, he grabs his arm and pulls him out. And that was the other thing too I didn't get. It's like, when he pulled him out, all right, he didn't bite him yet. He's just kind of standing there. They don't run right back in as fast as those vampires are, because they are pretty quick.
yeah.
Like, they could have gotten to him real quick. It's the same thing when they first take that one dude out that they thought was a vampire. They got bitten.
So I
and they're
think
just standing out there. They're just like, all right, man.
I think the
let's
only
talk
one
for a
that's
bit.
probably like superhuman fast was the
Remick?
carrier. Yeah.
Remick? Okay.
Because the rest of them, they all, because they're fighting them hand to hand and not like they're not throwing them halfway against the wall. The only like superhuman thing on there was like when Smoke empties 2 clips into the girl into Mary, yeah, and then she gets right up and runs out.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
But that was my point, though. It's like, even though, let's even take away that they were fast, but they're standing out there after they drag the one body out there, and they're just kind of looking around. And I'd be like, no, I would have rolled that body out there.
Yeah.
With a broomstick and stayed inside. I'm like, I'm not messing with this. It's crazy.
I ain't going outside.
But then they're like, just give us Sammy.
My name's Paul, and this is between y'all.
Yeah. Y'all got some stuff to work out, so I'm just gonna be over here eating some catfish and stuff. And
yeah, I'm just gonna be back here eating some catfish.
I mean, if I was in that situation, at one point I would just be behind the bar, just chugging everything.
Oh yeah.
I'd be like, all right, you know what? This does not look good for any of us. Somebody's gonna freak out. Probably that lady over there.
I did love
You're a problem.
Yeah, you're a real problem.
That's what I was saying. If that Asian woman was next to me, I'm like, you're a real problem.
I did love the fight scene though at the end when all the vampires come into the
and
barn.
so that's where I think that's where they had to set that up. Like you at that point, it had to turn into more action to keep the because the audience was waiting for that. I know I was.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't want to see like it get down to just Smoke and Preacher Boy like picking people off one at a time. No, I want to see some damn fight.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I thought when they were starting to lose, when they all break in there. That's what I was assuming or hoping that all of a sudden those Indian hunters would have shown
Yes.
back up.
Yes.
But they couldn't have because, like I said at the beginning, they were like, we got to get out. We got to get back
sundown.
home.
We're getting out of here.
So they obviously clearly did not go out.
Yeah.
They're probably some of the worst vampire hunters ever. It's like the one time you need to hunt the vampire,
Or these,
you don't want to be out.
Yeah.
It's like,
or the smartest ones.
yes,
because they're still alive.
then don't be a vampire hunter.
I mean, at the same point, when you look at it, like they were on the outskirts of town with that family's house.
yeah.
If you'd have saw a truck full of Native Americans running down the street in Mississippi, there would have been a problem. Law enforcement would have been flagged down somehow, or they just would have took you out back and shot you anyway.
But they were on horseback though, weren't they?
Well, they had a truck too.
They had a truck, and a couple of them were on horse.
Yeah.
I wonder if they were on that truck, like if they had, like they had his sarcophagus or whatever.
Or they might have.
It's coffin,
Whatever.
Casket.
wooden casket.
Listen. What you get buried in is what you get buried in. I don't care if it's Egyptian, whatever.
Yeah, man.
Jackass.
Yeah.
Well, it's lore that it's a coffin. All right, whatever.
But no,
What if he's an Egyptian vampire?
I thought that would have been really cool though if they would have shown up. Yeah. Stop making his head pop.
Dracula.
It's from Transylvania, damn it. I know he is.
But the fight scene was really cool because they learned, they figured out pretty quickly that guns don't kill them, but it'll slow them down. So there was, one of them had like a rifle, but they had a stake attached to the end, so they would shoot them like in the kneecap and just run them through like a
Bayonet.
like a Civil War bayonet.
Yeah.
And then Smoke, he's just got a stake in one hand and his 9mm Beretta in the other. And he's like, I'm going to town on you. And then he gets into a fist fight with Stack.
Yep.
And Stack couldn't bite him because of the hoodoo pendant, which I thought was pretty cool.
And
Well, and that's they covered that in the beginning when he went to go see when he first went to go see his ex-wife.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, he was even asking her, is like, why, you know, she's been keeping you alive for all these years. He's like, you know, I don't believe that. You know how much killing and all this other stuff I've seen. She's like, but you're still here, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're still wearing that pendant.
Yep.
And that was like that was kind of like the heart, or like the cold-hearted, or I won't say cold-hearted, but it's just like the more like the cold-hearted realization of the situation. It's like, well, why didn't work on, you know, on our baby? I don't know.
Yeah. Works in mysterious ways, man.
So after the big fight with all the vampires, Stack and Mary just straight up flee. Like they know like shit's getting real. Like we want to survive this, so they just run, and they survive somehow.
Well, also during the
I don't
big,
think you see him run away though.
yeah, you
No,
see
no,
him run away.
you see Stack grab her and just run.
Okay.
But
Because I thought like they were all retreating, but it was just those two.
during the
Okay.
fight, that's how you find out like you still have to kill them all individually, but they feel the pain of the one that turned.
So that's what I wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end, after the big row, it's just Preacher Boy in like a little waist-high pond, and then Remy comes to like get him.
Yeah.
And like he just like slashes him across the face. That's where you see the scars come from in the opening of the movie. And then, you know, just before he's about to bite him, he just takes his guitar, which has a silver disc on it, and slams it into his head. And then everybody just starts screaming in pain. And he just goes, God damn it, and just like rips it out.
Well, you know, you do that when you get a metal disc in
I
your
mean,
mouth.
And then, what was it? Smoke comes by and just jams
He gets
him
it
from
from
the
behind,
back
yeah.
with the stake. It doesn't like kill him, but it stops everyone from running away long enough for the sun to start coming up, and
Yeah.
then everyone just sets on fire.
Yep, they all burn.
But you know, like everyone just like kind of just immolates and just falls to the ground and collapses. He turns into a fire NATO and then goes up. Yeah,
He goes up. And so that's when you learn about the, well, he said it earlier too about the music thing.
Yeah.
That's where you learned he was, well, he told him earlier, but that's when you knew that he was an actual
But
ascension
but
thing.
also like, and when they go into, they kind of describe how the transference of the memories work too. So when they become part of the collective, so that's why
yeah, they get like a hive mind kind of thing.
Exactly.
It's like the Borg.
Yeah,
But it's like transferred to everybody too.
yeah,
Yeah.
So like once he, you know, even if they bite somebody, it gets transferred
to everyone else.
connected to. So that's how they're trying to get into the building. And like when Stack is talking to Smoke out there with Remick, he's telling them. So the first couple that he bites, he's like, oh, they're, you know, the owner that you sold here, he's the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan in this area. He said they're gonna come over here in the morning and take y'all all down.
Because this is his son.
Yeah, because this is his son. He's like, he's right. And they're still like dancing around, and then he's like, come on, man. He's like, come on, Smoke. Come on out here. We'll wait for him, and then we're gonna take them all out too. And they're trying so hard to like pull up the strings, and that's. Yeah, the Asian lady, like her husband doing that, and then them talking about
Killing their daughter.
going to the store to get her daughter. That's what makes her snap.
Yeah.
And that's understandable.
Oh, I knew what made her snap.
Yeah, yeah.
It just was annoying. To me.
yeah,
I'd be
oh,
like,
yeah.
I would be the first person to probably just shoot her right in the head. I'd be like, I'm sorry, you're done. I can't deal with you now. I got to deal with people trying to kill me because you want to get all upset. I'm sorry. I don't live. I
But
don't,
that was a funny scene. Is like when the guy they kicked outside. I don't mean funny, but like a lighthearted scene is like when they kicked that guy out front, and then Cornbread comes over there and he's biting on him.
Oh yeah,
it's-
and the
it's-
husband comes back.
Yeah, the husband comes
She's
up. He's
like, I got
"Honey."
the car ready.
Yeah, I got
Come
the
on.
car. Come on.
Well,
It's
what
like,
about this?
What's going? Cornbread just a little hungry.
a little hungry. But then, of course, they go. You know, the scene cuts to the next morning or that morning, and Smoke goes back. He gets that. Or he has a gun. He's waiting for him.
So they actually mentioned that a little bit early in the movie, and they're like, after the three vampires leave, they're like, oh, I forgot the trunk. Well, don't forget the trunk. Forget about that. We have guns. We're fine.
Yeah.
So the next morning, he was like, all right, the Klan's actually coming. So he gets the trunk, and he pulls out his World War I rifle, and then he buries a Tommy gun in the dirt. So he hides in the bushes, takes out 3 of them with his rifle, and then he just kicks open and just grabs a Tommy gun and just lays waste to literally everyone. And he's got apparently 2 full drums of like reload ammo in his back. So he's just, those things hold like 30 rounds. So
the drum,
yeah. So he's got 90 rounds to put into 8 people.
And he gets shot. And he's waiting to die. And I like when the Klansman, the Hogwood, the guy that sold him the place, and he's like, "Yeah, I got money, you know, I can help you and stuff." And he just unloads on him.
The whole clip.
Point blank.
Just unloads on him. And then he sees, you know,
his ex-wife and daughter.
Yeah.
And like he reaches out and he grabs the daughter, and as he's dying, that's what he gets to do. He gets to hold his daughter.
Yeah. And then it goes back to you know, Sammy.
Then it cuts to the beginning.
Back to the beginning of the movie where he shows up into the place and he, you know, drops the guitar.
Oh, he didn't drop it.
No, he
holds. Yeah, he holds it all the way to the very end.
And then he just goes up to Chicago.
That's right. And then they fast forward to then it's credits.
Yep. And then we get a little bonus scene.
Yep.
And it's 1992.
Yep. So he's old.
Yes, very.
And he's like...
Well, he's like 82 at that point, or 83.
Yeah. But it's really cool. You know, he's had multiple records. He owns his own nightclub in Chicago. And, you know, he's sitting down after playing a set, and he's got a drink, and the bouncer comes up, and he's like, "Hey, boss, told these couple that were closed, but they offered me $200 to come in and meet you." And he's like, "Yeah, that's fine.
Go ahead and let him in."
Yep.
And as soon as that, it goes... You feel the tide.
Yeah.
And he ends up feeling it too before they come around the corner.
And then it's Stack and Mary. And they're like, "He couldn't do it. He couldn't kill me. The only thing he said is you stay away from Sammy."
You know, let him live out his life in peace, or let him live his life out. If he let me live, if I let you basically live your life out. And then it was a nice ending though, because they go to leave, and he's like, you know, I have nightmares about that night, you know, or I dream about that night every time. He's like, but everything before the evening, he was like, was the best day of my life.
And what about you? He's like, yeah.
Well, it was the last time he saw his brother and his son.
Yep.
I did like how he was in full 90s gear. Like when he puts the 200 on the counter, he's got a giant
stack.
it says Stack across all of his knuckles.
That was cool.
Well, too, was, you know, he's also said to him, he offers him one last time.
Yeah, because he smells him. He's like, "You ain't got long."
Yeah. He's like, you know, you could be immortal. You know, we can live forever. I like it. He basically was like, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he basically was like, "No, I'm good."
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm at the end, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
There is one final scene after that, and it's just him learning how to play the guitar. It's just him sitting in the church, and he plays, I want to say "Sweet Child of Mine," but it's not.
No.
It's not Guns N' Roses. This Little Light of Mine.
Oh, yep.
So he's just sitting there in the church playing, and that's when you kind of get the sense, like, damn, this kid's good.
Well, when him and Stack are riding, like when they first get in the car to go into town and start the recruiting, and he starts playing right there, like, and it made a cut back to that scene too when Stack, you know, they're talking about that
look
day.
on his face.
That just,
Oh,
yeah, we're gonna make some money, babe. That just look of pure joy and amazement of like what he's hearing. It's
like, damn, you can actually sing too.
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
shit.
Churches.
That's why, because when they get out there to Slim, he's about ready to play. He's like, "Oh, no, ain't nobody here listening to this for free. Ain't gonna come to the juke tonight."
I do like when, like, so the girl Mary that winds up with Stack, they used to be, you know, lovers back in the day before he went off to war in Chicago. They've been gone 7 years, I think they say. Sammy goes up to Stack and be like, "There's a white girl staring at you," and he's like, "You sure she's white?" "Yeah." "Shit." Why don't you go over there and talk with Harmonica Boy? I can't remember his name. Harmonica Man. Slim. Go talk
Harmonica
to Slim.
Boy. Preacher boy, harmonica boy,
Cornbread Boy.
Cornbread Boy, yeah.
fat boy.
That when they get him and Stack is sitting there insulting him, but also in like a good way.
Yeah. I remember after the conversation, Sammy comes up like, "I don't think she's white." And you find out she's a quarter black.
Oh, no, I meant like when he's
When he's going to
recruiting
see Cornbread.
Cornbread.
Oh.
In front of his wife.
Because they're
yeah.
out there, because, you know, they're out in the field. And he's like, "Man, I got to get my quote up for day. I'm behind." He's
fuck
like,
your quota.
"Man, man, I tell you what, amount of money I'm gonna pay you, your wife gonna be giving it to you good. And then he's like, you know, because he's using a lot of crude language on there. He's like, my wife is right here, man. She's like, hold up.
How much
money?
And she's like, that's a good woman right there.
Yeah, right.
That's a good woman.
He said, hold on. How much money are you talking? Cornbread, you better get your ass in that car.
How much money are you talking? Hang on a second.
The one thing that kind of
$20.
Yeah, right.
So when Sammy and Stack are driving around to go pick up Sammy and Lenny, Harmonica Man, and Slim, and I cannot keep that name in my head to save my life. And Cornbread, when they're driving out there, Sammy's just like, how fast does this thing go? And he's like, pretty darn fast. And he's like, you want to drive? He's like, yeah, I want to drive. Like, on the way home. He never gets to drive until the end.
That's right.
Until, everything's said and done.
Well, he gets to drive at the very end.
Yeah. Smoke hands on the keys, like, get on out of here. It's like, no, he was supposed to drive yesterday. Y'all lied to him.
Well, he didn't go back home yesterday.
Yeah, he stayed.
So they could drive on the way back.
He was fighting vampires.
Yeah, come on.
I think that's a reasonable excuse.
He did get to drive on the way home. Just not the way he wanted to drive.
Yeah. Blooded up.
Wipe yourself off, man. You dead. Yeah, giant scar on his face. Chicks dig scars, though, man.
Yeah, especially when they're done by vampire claws.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if they just offset the years by say 15, and he was in the 2010s, and he's like, yeah, this is from a vampire attack. He would be nothing but getting laid nowadays because all the women are into vampires.
Yeah.
So when Mary comes back in after she's got bit, and Slim sees her and Stack go into the back room. So, the situation of the beating and the guy cut the other guy's face, that situation happened.
Yeah, and then Smoke's like, go get Stack.
Hey, yeah, go get my brother.
And he was like, he's having nookie.
It's like, Slim, you seen Stack? Yeah, he in there. Go ahead, you fine. And he walks in, you just see her going like this, and he shuts the door real quick. Oh, he busy, ain't he?
Well, I love when he goes to Smoke, and he's like, well, he's getting a little nookie. I didn't ask you what the fuck he's doing. I told you to go get him.
I didn't ask you what the fuck he's doing.
Yo, make sure y'all proper in there.
Yeah, and then he opens up, and that's when Mary's eating him.
Yeah. First they ride you, then they gnaw on your neck.
Yep.
Well, during the sex scene, you can see where she got bit on the shoulder.
Yeah. Well, and you also noticed that she had to get invited in from Cornbread.
Well, also when I saw the vampire jump fly into this guy, I was like, well, she's dead. she's not coming back human.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how does nobody see this? Oh, yeah, that's right. You had to carry lanterns around that time.
Yeah.
They had lights in there, but that was the one line that ran out.
Yeah.
Bunch of IKEA light bulbs just strung around the place.
Yeah.
I don't think they had IKEA back then. But...
Yeah, that's true.
Well, that's where the prop department got the lights from.
Now, here's the question. Do you think, because I do, the way they left it, there could be a sequel?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there would need to be. I think, this is a good, if it's a sequel.
Most movies don't need one, but they seem to make them anyway.
But if this one's a sequel, I don't even know if it needs to be centered around that.
So I could see them doing a spiritual sequel where it's the same kind of lore and still set in the 30s or 40s and maybe, once again, the deep south or something like that. And maybe Michael B. Jordan or Stack makes an appearance towards the end or something.
Well, so here's my stick is that I think it could pick up where that left, when this movie left off. Maybe some tribesmen come over and finally visit Sammy and try to get an account of that night because they're chasing Stack.
Well,
and then you just follow them on their hunt and they just start taking out.
Because I was Remy can't be the only one.
Yeah, right.
So I think there could be a spiritual sequel where you find another vampire doing sort of the same shit.
But I also think that the most importance of Sammy there wasn't really just bringing back the spirits of those, because even though they came, they wouldn't have anything to inhabit. I think it would be easier. It was more easier for him to connect to other ones that were out there.
Well, that's basically what he wanted to do. He wanted to bring,
because all of his clan or coven or whatever, all of his people were already dead. And he was the last one.
Yeah.
But shit, how quick you can turn somebody, That's basically like the virus aspect. Of
Yeah. Yeah, that town was turned in like a matter of like an hour.
Yeah.
Sinners 2, The Adventures of Stack and Mary.
I like it. I like it.
Well, I think they could do, a couple things. Either do another version of it where it either stays back in that time, in 1932, just and just follow a different vampire.
So
Like that story's happening over here, but then you have the vampire hunters that actually, you learn a little bit more about those guys, actually. But then...
keep going.
No, I was just thinking of, something along that line.
Or even you could take it back to, like when we first landed at Jamestown. And, that's how the Native Americans figured out...
What vampires are?
Exactly. It came over on the boat as the Protestants landed first. And that's how Plymouth Rock got wiped out.
Or Roanoke.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, but so now I'm flash forwarding, if we wanted to follow Stack, say he goes to a small mining town in Pennsylvania and he just starts converting them left and right, and say Native Americans or whoever, oh shit, we got to put a stop to this. So they detonate the mine and it's uninhabitable, and it's an origin story for what happened to Centralia. Which is still burning today, which is really freaky.
Well, the other thing you can do, too, if you remember, from where the movie kind of ended to where the final ending was, there were 60 years in between.
Yeah.
They could show what Stack and Mary were doing
exactly.
that whole time, or a portion of that time. Or
Stack and Mary years.
Or maybe right after. Because they run and flee.
Yeah.
You don't know where they went to right away.
Yeah, I don't know how they survived the sunlight. As fast as there was nothing for miles. How did they get into non-sunlight?
Well, they couldn't even...
As long as you're covered.
Yeah, that one guy was running through crops. That's why he was burning, but he wasn't,
on
dead.
fire.
Yeah. He was technically on fire, and then until he got under the awning. Yeah. So, that's, I think, because you saw, when they started getting on fire, they all tried to shoot off to the tree line. And they, because of the pain from the head, that's what, kept them there as it was coming up.
Yeah, it's just direct contact with sunlight.
Yeah.
Just use your sunblock.
And they all burned much faster than he did.
Yeah, he took a minute.
Yeah.
But, his death was cooler.
Which is
Fire-nado.
different than we learned from True Blood. The younger you are, the longer you can last in the sun, where the older you are...
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
Gone.
So, we're getting close to the end. Final thoughts. What do you guys say?
I loved it.
Yeah. Very good movie.
Watch it again in a heartbeat.
Very good. One of the better vampire movies I've seen in a long time, because I will be honest with you, I've been kind of oversaturated with the vampire stuff. It was vampires, zombies. I'm kind of over all that. The last zombie movie I really enjoyed was probably, Zombieland. Just because it had humor to it.
Yeah.
But other than that, vampire movies, I've always vampires have always been my favorite of the...
monster genres?
Yeah, the monsters, but... Even that, though, I've been oh, come on.
You said you like Nosferatu.
Yeah, no, it was good. No, but that's also an older story. You knew what the story was. But as far as a new creative way to re-envision it, I thought they did a very good job. So.
Yeah.
And I have to agree.
job.
This movie is fantastic. I had no idea it was about vampires until about a week and a half ago. They really buried the lead with the trailers on this one.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah. It was a nice little twist.
Yeah. It's kind of like a M. Night Shyamalan movie. It's you don't really know what it's about until it's almost over.
Yep.
But yeah, I have to agree.
He was dead the whole time? Shit.
Very well done vampire movie, and I'll watch it again.
Yeah, and all the actors were very good.
Oh, 100%.
They all played very good parts.
I know it's not going to get nominated for an Oscar, but Michael B. Jordan deserves to be nominated for this one, in my opinion. Once again, his performance was fantastic.
Well, it also didn't feel like a B horror movie.
No.
It was a lot of very well production and story built into it. It wasn't just a slasher or and they really didn't have to use a ton of special effects either.
No, the only special effect was whenever Stack and Smoke were in the same scene at the same time.
That
red
and
eyes.
the fire outside.
Yeah. Well, you get 50 stunt people and just coat them in that gel and light them on fire and like run 5 feet then collapse. They'll do it.
Yeah, but not the guy burned in that shot up in
No,
flame.
Remy, yeah.
Yeah. The Human Torch.
The Fire NATO.
That's how the
Wait, here it
Fantastic
comes,
Four-
guys. Here it comes. Get ready for it. Flame on. What the hell?
Somehow we always bring it back to Deadpool
He's
3.
gonna say it.
He's gonna say it.
Flame on.
Oh, superhero landing.
But I think it's also the first vampire movie that I've seen in a while. Let me make sure I'm clear about that. That was set around that time frame.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everything else has either been new
Or like Transylvania.
Colonial. Yeah.
really, really old. But no, this was what it was interesting to see that, and then utilizing because you wouldn't think Mississippi
Yeah.
as a setting, and so I just think that it was a unique story. It was a very different type story than what they did. at all.
And with the Centers thing and him being able to play the guitar so good, I thought it was gonna have the story of the guy who like from Oh Brother Where Art Thou. The guy who was a really good blues player. I met the devil on the crossroad, and he taught me how to play this here guitar.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was going to be more along the lines of like he was going to sell his soul to be able to play, really good. And I think technically, yes, that happened. But he didn't sell his soul, but he went against his father's wishes and he went there.
Yeah.
And he fell in love with that music, and
that girl.
that girl.
Yeah.
I thought, like, going back to Dusk Till Dawn, so in that movie, the man is a retired preacher, and he uses that to bless the the water to make it holy water. I thought that was going to come into play a little because the lady did mention, like, we need garlic and holy water. And I was like, oh, he's the son of a preacher. Maybe he can do, like, a little bless you,
But
my
he
son.
doesn't have
Yeah,
the Lord in his heart, though.
I
Yeah,
thought
that's the
that
thing.
was going to happen too when they were doing the Lord's Prayer out in the water. Like,
Yeah.
I thought the water was going to start making him boil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of thought that, too.
That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
But
I
he
mean,
was he's like, I remember this, and those days haunted me back when he was not a vampire, just as much as they're haunting you.
Vampires.
Rawr.
Vampires.
I am the vampire. That was the
Yes.
only thing I hated from Nosferatu was that voice.
And well, yeah, to talk
I
about
am the vampire.
Someone get that man a Halls.
Ricola.
What did you just say?
Here's a secret.
I'm not getting it. Listen,
I want you to take the French out of your mouth.
here, right on this.
Yeah, right. Here's a board.
You call in, like, oh, I can't work today. I have the flu. Perfect.
Perfect, man, perfect. But no, a very good movie, though. Glad we watched it.
100%.
Yeah, it was a good time. Again, just if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. If you haven't seen it, again, don't probably listen to this episode if you want to see it.
Yeah.
Listen to it later, see if you agree. But yeah, no, I got nothing else to say.
Yeah,
about
me
that
either.
one,
It's
too.
just a fantastic movie.
I will add a couple, since we do have a few minutes left. I'll just let everybody know. We'll be giving you an update probably in another week or so for what the end of year 4 looks like, because we are coming up to that. We are in the month, and we're only about 4 weeks away, I believe. The 27th is when we launched, and the 27th is actually on a Sunday.
Ooh.
So yeah, but I wasn't sure if we want to do the week before, like launch it the Wednesday before or the Wednesday after. So.
Well, we have a production meeting next week,
Yeah.
so we can talk about
But
that.
we'll keep you guys up to date with that. Also, just continue listening to us on all the platforms, WDBF Radio, WDBF.FM. On Elevation Movies on Roku, we'll be kind of giving some updates once we get closer to August. We'll be having that meeting with the animation group, Pencil Gator Studios, about their film festival in November. We'll also give you some updates what year 5 is going to look like. Hopefully Mr. Doug will be able to come on with us and join and talk about, give us at the afterwards of, the couple months after Sunscreen, how, if they had any other updates from how everything went. Film submissions
I was
have
gonna say,
started.
Yep, I
open
keep
for
getting those
submissions
emails.
Yeah, so, started July, I believe July 1st is
Yep.
when it started. So start submitting your films for the 21st annual Sunscreen Film Festival, which, trust me, from last year to this year.
Now we can
it'll
get
go
it drunk.
It'll go quick. I mean, it'll be right around the corner before you know it. But yeah, we'll keep you up to date with all that stuff. And all new information as the next coming weeks come by. But until then, for Movie Talks and Chill, we're your host. I am Tony Soprano.
I am Gavin Butts.
I'm Patrick Wall.
All right, guys, take care. Don't forget, guys, you can visit us at our website, movietalksandchill.com. Email us at talktous@movietalksandchill.com, or find us on our YouTube channel.
You can also follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Movie Talks and Chill.
You can listen to us on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, coming soon to Apple Podcasts, CastBox, and Overcast.
New episodes available every Wednesday. Talk to you then. Theme music for our podcast was composed, arranged, and performed by Paul the Rock.